Hello, my name is Maggie Weber. I'm actually from Australia, well Tasmania, the little heart-shaped island at the bottom of Australia. But recently I moved to Portugal, and so now I flip between offices in the UK and Portugal, and really I'm a global citizen, to be quite honest, because I'm all over the joint. But today I am presenting on sustainable finance and investment and how to secure your financial future. And as a former banker, you're going to know full well what I'm talking about when I share this with you. Okay, so who knows what a bail-in is? Yes, this is where it gets frightening. Very few people know what a bail-in is. People may have heard of a bailout. Do people remember a few years ago, Lehman Brothers, the collapse of Lehman Brothers, the bank? Well, what has often happened is governments and depositors have come in and saved a bank with a bailout, so they bailed them out of trouble. But in 2013, the laws changed. So we had something called a bail-in that started. So a bail-in provides relief to a financial, this is a very heavy-duty definition, to a financial institution on the brink of failure, which many banks are, by requiring the cancellation of debts owed to creditors and depositors. So who do you think pays for that? Who do you think pays for the sins of the banks?
We do.
We do. And so that's how they pay their debts. That's what a bail-in is. That sounds frightening. So in other words, your funds are not secure in your banks. And we had this happen, don't worry about all the words, I'll tell you the story. We had the first of these happening, is that me making all that noise? Sorry about that. We had the first of this happening in 2013 in Austria, where they came in and they just took depositors' funds. And so at the end of it, people were receiving less than 50% on their depositors' funds. And that will be in the year 2020. That was the first one. Then there was what happened in Cyprus. Cyprus, an island sort of near Greece. So in Cyprus, $10 billion bailout, but bail-in because they took the depositors' funds. So many people who had gone to live in Australia, retired, took all their money back to Cyprus, lost so much of it. It was really, really frightening. And then, you think when you put your money in the bank, you'd be safe, wouldn't you? But then we had a similar thing happen in Australia. In 2014, in April, in the dead of night, about 11 o'clock at night, 7 senators in our parliament in Canberra had a nice little private meeting and decided to pass a law so that we have the opportunity for our banks to have bail-ins as well. Not many people know this stuff. It's all kept really, really quiet. So much so that recently we had in Australia, just before I left, it was completed, we had a royal commission into our 4 top banks in Australia, finally proving that they're a bunch of crooks. Really and truly. And because of so many bad things these banks have done, they've now got to pay back a lot of the bad behaviour that happened to some depositors. So where do you think those funds are going to come from? It isn't all insured. So, because of situations like as what happened in Cyprus, something became really popular back in about 2000 and, well, it started in 2008. Who's ever heard of cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin? Okay, so this is why they started to become popular, because people were getting very worried about their funds in the banks. So it's a Bitcoin. Bitcoin is the mother of all cryptocurrencies. It was the first one, and then there are other ones like Monero and Ethereum and things like that. But the mothership tends to be Bitcoin. Okay, so on the 18th of August 2008, the first domain, bitcoin.org, was registered. 31st of October 2008, there was a chap called Satoshi Nakamoto who wrote a paper called Peer-to-Peer Electronic Cash System. the first blockchain, I'll explain what blockchain is in a minute, was created, what's called the Genesis block. The first block was created on January the 3rd, 2009. Now at that stage, 2000 to 2011, one Bitcoin was considered to be worth $1. There was one chap who went out and used his Bitcoin to buy a pizza. Oh my goodness, would he have kicked himself in 2017? Because by 2017, there was a 1,824% increase on the value of Bitcoin, and they were worth, each Bitcoin was worth $13,500 US. They've crashed since then, and this is the challenge with Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. They aren't asset-backed. They are just something that sort of happens on the ether, on the computers, and this, that, and the other, and this is where their major fault lay, that they were not asset-backed. All right, so you had articles like this in 2013, this is why cryptocurrencies and things were taking off. So what is the blockchain? Blockchain is the technology that is behind, bless you, that is behind and underpins all digital currencies, like Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, and the like. And it's that technology that allows this digital information. It's not like you've got money that you can hand across, you know, notes and things like that. It's all done digitally. And in this lies the challenge, because it hasn't been secure up till now. So it allows the digital information to be distributed, but not copied. This is the value of blockchain. You can't diddle blockchain, if you know what I mean. It's immutable, you cannot copy it. All right? So you may hear it described as the digital ledger that's stored on a distributed network. This all sounds very high-tech, don't worry about it, just get the basics. So there you are, that's what blockchain is. That's where the word came from, block and chain. It's a system in which a record of transactions made in Bitcoin, you might see Bitcoin described as BTC, or another cryptocurrency, are maintained across several computers. So it's not just on one computer, it's across several computers that are linked in a peer-to-peer network. All right? And in this lies a lot of its safety. Now, anyone heard of Gary Vaynerchuk? So Gary Vaynerchuk, yeah, marvelous chap. So he's one of these amazing bloggers. So he says it's not, we shouldn't be concerned about the price of the Bitcoin or any other altcoin. By altcoin, that means an alternative coin like Monero, Litecoin, Ethereum. So it's not about the price we need to be concerned. It's about the power of the technology that is behind them we need to be concerned with, that underlines the blockchain, because this has the potential to completely change the way we transact. This has the potential to stop the crooks in banking. And that's what we need. All right? But as he says, it's not clear what exactly is going to happen. Now, that looks very busy. I can show you afterwards. And if anyone wants this presentation, please come up to me afterwards and I'll email it to you. So, I am part of, if anyone's heard me present before, there's two parts to me. There's Maggie. So Maggie is the lady from Tasmania who is the speaker who teaches people in stress management and building resilience. I'm called the Working Mother's Mentor. I teach mothers how to build their businesses from home instead of going out and making other people rich. Make your own business from home. And so I was called the Working Mother's Mentor. But then there's Maggie. So Maggie is on the board of a number of sustainable businesses. GCC, Global Consortium Corporation, funds sustainable businesses. We only look at socially entrepreneurial businesses and sustainable businesses. Otherwise, we don't touch them. Because these businesses all look after the hardest working mother I know, Mother Earth. So, I'm on the advisory board of a number of these, but I'll give you some examples of some of these businesses. So, we've got affordable housing projects, we've got, or processes. We have got simple drinking water, which is one of my favorites, where it's a technology where you can, doesn't matter how putrid the groundwater is, right? We can take it and put it through a filtering system where no electricity is required. Half the challenges in some of these villages is that the women are carrying the pots on their head and spending half a day just to go and get the water to come home, and then the water is so poisonous, it's like drinking chocolate milk. It's so, you know, and it's terrible. So that's one of our other ones. My favourite one now, I went in November to the first one that's about to go online now, is something called Brews. It's a zero waste to power plant. And I went in Birmingham in England to see this. And we're funding these, and we have just had an order in from China for the first 50 of these. So what you do is you put it right next door to a landfill site, you get all the waste, you put it through a process called pyrolysis. It loves tyres, which usually you can't get rid of, and because you get the highest calorific value from them, and burns them, and you get lovely gas and everything out the other side that you can sell back to the grid. So these are some of the companies, processes that we're funding. We funded 45 in the last 2 years, and we intend to fund another 500 in the next 5 years. We fund from, we get funds from sovereign funds, but also we get the funds from investors. And now we get to the sustainable funding part of things. So, oh, that doesn't look very good, does it? So in London, we had the launch of our first GCC crypto fiat token. Because you can buy tokens in these, there's a banker's eyes, all right. So, what we have now on our phones, we've just launched an app. So on this app, by using this app, you can invest in these sustainable projects, okay? Now you can use fiat currency. Fiat's nothing to do with the little car. Fiat means money that's like in cash or notes. You can also use cryptocurrency, or you can use what are called securitized tokens. And this is where things have changed. With tokens, with the digital currency before it, as I say, there was no security behind it. There was a situation in Canada where a chap had $170 million US of people's investments, and he died at 30, and he took all the passwords with him. That's everybody's stuff all locked up, right? You can't have that. You've got to have a system in place where, you know, there's security, and everything is asset backed, right? So all of ours are asset backed. So you can download this wallet. That's why I said if you're interested in this, I'll send you a presentation with how to do all of this. And we have now started tokenizing our oil and gas, mineral, metals, and other resource projects. Now, in and of myself, I don't particularly like oil and gas, right? But let's get real. It's in the world, and we are going to use it. We're not going to stop it. But what I like about it, one of our projects, is we've got a satellite system, a satellite mapping system. So originally it was started by two chaps in Norway, and they were looking for water underground to find wells in villages. Now it's so advanced that we can find minerals and oil and gas under the ground and underwater. So we have a situation where off Malta, the island of Malta, there were six oil and gas leases that have been sitting there for 50 years. They haven't found any gas, any oil, any gas. We used our technology when the leases expired, and we found oil and gas immediately with the satellites. So people can invest in these, and the reason is you don't just dig and hope that you're going to find something. You now only dig where the minerals and the oil and gas are. So that is looking after Mother Earth. So in that respect, I'll go along with the oil and gas. All right, so we've started tokenizing all of these, and as I say, people can invest. We've got people who invest millions of dollars in some of these projects, but we've got people who invest $20. And that's the beauty. Once you have a smartphone, even someone in a village, as long as they've got access to the internet and a smartphone, they can start investing and doing. And this is why it's so important for women, particularly, or anyone, but women particularly who haven't been taught about investing. They have no idea. They can't even open a bank account, but they can do all of this on their phone. So our roadmap is we plan to have all of our projects on the blockchain by the end of this year. And so we now are one of the few companies in the world that will go from go to woe. So investing in the original projects, and then having ownership of them, management of them, asset backing these projects and these tokens, and having the ownership of the infrastructure. And so our investors get the benefit of go to woe. All right? So that's what it looks like when you get on. A few little sort of pictures of what it looks like on your phone. I'm a Samsung girl. I've never had an iPhone in my life. I had to get an iPhone to be able to use this thing. It'll be on Android in about a month. So that's kind of what it looks like. Sky Wallet Skyway is another of our projects. It is a green transport system above ground. We've just signed a project with the Aceh government, you know, in Indonesia where the tsunami hit. It's still such a mess down there. We've signed a $600 million deal to take green transport, affordable housing, simple drinking water, and other of these green projects down there, and to fund and bring back the life to 23 provinces down there in Aceh. So, currency store's another one. Humanity One is our brand, GCC's brand, overarching brand of all these humane, you know, sustainable, socially entrepreneurial businesses. Now, does everyone know what socially entrepreneurial means? If you don't, when you're in business, you go in business to make a profit, right? No point in going to business unless you intend to make a profit. But what socially entrepreneurial means is you're looking after what's called the triple bottom line. You're looking after making a profit, but you're looking after people, and you're looking after the planet as well. So all of ours are socially entrepreneurial businesses. And the other beautiful thing is we've now just become the platinum sponsor at the blockchain event in Malta, where we'll be checking out oil and gas while we're there in May. If anyone wants to know about that, it's so interesting, the blockchain. I'm just giving, I've got a couple of minutes to tell you about it, but this is what is going to save things, the blockchain, because it stops corruption. Stops people just, don't get me started. And that's very busy, but it's all on a business card, which I can give you. So please come, if you're interested in finding out more, give me your details, I'll email you, and then you can start investing from just a few dollars, up to millions. Thank you so much. Any questions? For me or for you?
I would like to ask.
Yes.
Can anyone use that platform or the application from any part of the world? Or mainly?
Yeah.
The only thing is that you have a smartphone.
That's exactly right. So in other words, and the other thing is that what we're going to do with some of the profits, I forgot this bit, with some of the profits from some of these businesses and these projects, is we're starting something I'm going to be spearheading called Free Power and Water, where profits from those go into a foundation where we will provide drinking water projects, alternative power. I forgot to mention that one.
And how do you monitor what you are investing in?
I leave that to one of our partners is a partner of KPMG. I leave all that stuff to them. But I'm going to be spearheading the foundation where we'll take this and give back, because that's another thing that's really important about socially entrepreneurial businesses, is that we give back and we reinvest. Good thing I've got a video, buddy. All right, so yes, anyone, as long as you've got a smartphone, and that's a beautiful thing. One of the things that I want to do with that foundation is give the drinking water back to the villages, give the alternative power sources, provide microloans, and stop what's happening where so many women are leaving the villages and the families and the communities are starting to break down. As long as these ladies have got a smartphone and the internet, they can invest.
And when will they see the profit? How long after? Let's say they invest $100.
Okay, they can see it it'll all be on the app. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Please don't ask me to get too technical about it, because you can see it on the app. You can actually, if you go on the app, you can actually take the steps, it shows you the steps of what to do, and then you can keep track of what your investments are doing. But actually a few of those photos sort of showed how it was going up and down and how investors were going. Like for instance, with the oil and gas one, people who invested £2 last year, they have a contract that's all done online, again, where you're using the blockchain for contracts and things. So